Welcome back, everyone. And we've got another exciting panel discussion for you now. And first, let me check if you can all hear me well. All right. And our panel discussion is on the retention being the new acquisition. Our expert panelists, they will share strategies from the leading brands in Saudi Arabia. So please welcome our first panelist, Ibrahim Bawaliz. He's a performance channels director at Mrsool. Ibrahim is a digital marketing expert with over 12 years of comprehensive digital marketing experience. He's also a digital consultant and trainer who is proud of teaching and certifying 150,000 students via EdRec digital advertising. Wow. Welcome, Ibrahim.
Thank you, Aziza. Thank you, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here today, and inshallah, I will do my best to add a lot of value when it comes to anything related to acquisition and retention for sure.
Fantastic, fantastic. And our next panelist is Alya Sairafi. She's the head of communications at Aramco Ventures. Alya is an experienced marketing professional. She founded Aramco Ventures communications department, and she led the launch of Property 7 Venture brand, which their $1 billion US diversified growth fund. Wow, impressive. Previously, she was a brand executive at Kareem, where she led many successful marketing campaigns. Welcome on board. Alya, you're with us?
Thank you, Aziza. I'm very glad to be here today, and I look forward to kind of explaining venture capital marketing a bit more to everyone.
Great having you. And our third panelist is Ranya Yahya. She's a sales and marketing director at Rushaid Real Estate Company. With almost 17 years of experience in healthcare marketing, Ranya heads marketing for multiple largest integrated healthcare systems in Eastern Province. Welcome, Ranya.
Hello, Aziza. Thank you. And I hope we will have a good and added value for the panel.
Oh, I'm sure of that. And to moderate this phenomenal panel, I welcome our editor at Martech Vibe, Yolanda Mello, who you already know that she sparks thought-provoking conversations and brings out the insights. Over to you all.
Thank you so much, Aziza. Welcome to my panel. Welcome, Alya. Welcome, Ranya. Welcome, Ibrahim. We're talking about retention is the new acquisition, and we are speaking with the leading brands about how to really go about this and what strategies that they use. Okay, so to set the tone, to build a base, Ibrahim, if you can help me out, I wanted to ask you about what the last 2 years have been like for you and how you've seen customer behavior change.
Sure. Thank you. I think it's vary from an industry to another, but in general, in the last 2 years or 3 years, the expectations from the customers became much higher. So yesterday or 2 or 3 years before, we were saying that, for example, same day delivery is something premium. Today, same hour delivery is something premium. Other than that, it's a normal thing that I should have. So the expectations are much higher, and I think the competition is much higher. So I believe that any company who's working based on technology, if they don't keep improving themselves, they will end up just like Nokia and Kodak. I see a lot of live examples in these days who are not capable to improve their systems and their operations fast, and they gradually go out of the market. So definitely, if you wanna keep on the top, you need to keep improving your digital experience. You need to introduce some new technologies like machine learning. Other than that, you will be out of the market.
I think that's a fair point. You never just stop at being good. You have to keep changing and evolving, and you need to have teams that are agile enough to keep up, right?
I totally agree. Improving doesn't stop at all.
Mm-hmm. Ranya, I want to get you in here. Why, and this is a very direct question, why is retention becoming so challenging?
Actually, we are seeing as Ibrahim mentioned, more ads than ever. Our customers are getting bombarded with content aiming to grab their attention and engagement. So this isn't slowing down. If companies don't get in the game, they are going to lose finally. So yeah, it takes me to Ibrahim said, and the very important thing is loyalty. I think loyalty is earned by providing consistent value, engagement, and attention. However, there seems to be a bit of disconnect, let me say, between what marketers believe it takes the loyalty and what actions actually attract loyalty customers. So I think this is the most challenging thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the definition also has changed. I mean, we've read lots of reports which talked about how during the pandemic, consumers were a lot more likely to bounce to try new brands, and it was up for the one who was most competitive, right? I mean, there's an opportunity there as well.
Yes, it is. Actually, the customer loyalty change lies in brand's ability to personalize the customer experience in consistent, high quality way. So this has often a challenge because personalization wasn't a scalable thing. It's not a scalable concept. So understanding buyer behavior is very important, and gaining ongoing customer insights wasn't feasible actually because of the manpower it would require. Yeah.
And technology has changed a lot of that.
Sure.
I want to get Alya in here. The concept of retention for Aramco Ventures is very different, right? So take us through what that means and tell us a little bit about your experience.
Well, yeah, I mean, Aramco Ventures, obviously, we're a venture capital fund. So we don't have a direct to consumer service or product that we're trying to sell. We are investing in startups. And you know, one might think that, well, if you're investing in someone, you don't really have a customer. You're giving money to people. You're not asking money from your customers. But actually, we do have customers. We have direct customers and indirect customers as well. Our direct customers are our portfolio, our startups. The CEOs and the founders of our startups are basically the people that we need to keep happy and keep loyal to us, because the world of venture capital is very network focused. So if your founder isn't happy, then he might end up telling another founder, hey, these guys, they didn't help me at all. So for us, again, because we're venture capital, we're smart money, and we position ourselves as thought leaders in the industry, and we try to give our portfolio as much support as we can. So for example, we utilize our communication channels to promote our portfolio companies a lot of times, help them get podium placements and introduce them in different conferences. For example, ADIPEC, that just happened in Abu Dhabi right now. We had a lot of our portfolio there present, and we had some of our guys also on the ground, you know, introducing them to key stakeholders in the region. So the concept of retention for venture capital is all about making sure that we are doing everything we can to support and make sure that our startups and our portfolio succeed in their marketing and communication.
Such a fresh perspective. I'm so glad you're part of the panel. You bring a really different view to it. So Ibrahim, I'm going to get you back in. We would, like, as we were talking with Ranya, technology has really changed the game, right, for what is achievable and what is possible. How has technology powered retention for marketers? Is there some I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Ibrahim. Could you speak up, maybe? No, I'm not able to hear you. You can hear me? Yes? All right. So I'm going to have the team help you out till Ibrahim gets his mic sorted. Ranya, would you Same
Yes.
question. Same question.
Yeah, actually, cutting edge technologies can help you build more efficient plans and make the right businesses decisions by means of predictive analytics. Today, actually, you can use a lot of online interactive tools, software, platforms, gather process, behavioral data. That's all make a successful customer retention. So, implementing various plugins, software platforms, your company can collect to actually the following insights, data, and other critical intelligence on customer behavior and preferences like preferred browsers, purchase, payment queries, and other details. So, I think the AI-based technology can analyze the client's data fast and accurate to predict the customer wishes, needs, pains, and especially the pain of the customer. Yes.
And also in a scalable way, right? So you can do
Yeah,
a lot.
sure. Actually, all that enables effective interactions between your organization and the customer. Here, with modern, you can manage an emerging technology, empower your workers and company for the improvement of customer retention and conversion rates. Yes.
Okay. I think, Ibrahim, we're still not able to hear you. That's very unfortunate. Do you want to try joining the call again? Okay. All right. One thing that I wanted to talk about, we'll get Ibrahim back as soon as he joins. For a lot of brands, they put a lot of effort into acquisition, and then the journey sort of ends at conversion. But retention is all about, just begins post-purchase, right? So I want to get both your perspectives on what is the one fundamental thing that brands are getting wrong, and what advice would you give them to change that? Ranya, do you want to go first?
Yes. Actually, I think the most important thing is the customer promise. This is very important thing. If you're gonna talk to your customers, please, with the trust, with customers promise. Customer expects always innovation, informality, honesty, value, caring attitude, and trust. So the solve of this issue is to use social media to check that the brand promise is both understood and relevant. It also works to keep all social media activities true and in support of the brand values. For instance, statisticals, the most read sections that I have known and before, from my knowledge and the statistics, the pages that include communications that comes across a honest information and caring.
Ibrahim, do we have you back?
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. I really wanted to get you. I really wanted to get your response on this. So we'll just go back for a bit to the previous question of how has technology changed the game for marketers when it comes to retention, and if I could just have you your thoughts.
Sure. I think it's all about the big data and how can you use it to achieve your objectives. And in general, the companies who can build on that and make sure that they have the right machine learning in place, I think they will be the winner for sure. Simply because, if we take a simple example like the calculator, I know that a human created this, but no one can compete with them when it comes to any mathematical equation. They will be faster and they will predict the answers much quicker than a human. This is the same case when it comes to marketing backslash tech. If we combine this, we will know that there is a lot of potential demands that we cannot predict as a human, but machine learning can. For example, if you have a online pharmaceutical company and you're selling, let's say, milk for babies, you can simply put a rule to send a reminder after 2 weeks telling them that you need to buy again. This is something, yes, you can do, but if you have, let's say, 10,000 plus products, definitely it will be hard. So you need to make sure that you have the right data in place, the right machine learning in a place to make sure that you can put the right rules to achieve your objectives and to increase your orders. And this is something that if you miss, definitely your competitors will not do. So make sure to have the right team in place to achieve this.
Right. I think it's also about a very pointed promotion, right? Not a mass one to everyone, because that just ends up, like you said, like Rania said earlier, we're just bombarded with ads all the time, and there we have reached saturation point as consumers. So absolutely, tech can help you achieve that pointed personalization. Uh, Alia, I'm just going to get you in. I wanted to talk about what it means for a venture capitalist firm. You know, the journey. Does it end at conversion? Does it begin there? Tell me more.
Well, for us, conversion is, getting a deal flow through, um, doing an investment. No, it definitely doesn't end there. As I mentioned, part of my job is to support the marketing and communication functions of our portfolio companies. Um, so it's an ongoing process, up until we exit the company and they're no longer part of our portfolio. We are constantly in communication with them. I have regular meetings with the PR and marketing professionals of our portfolio companies, just to see if they need any guidance, if they need any advice, especially about the local market. Some of them enter the Saudi market, and I have a lot of insights about the local consumer and how they are triggered. And I wanted to also kind of touch on your point about what are brands doing wrong. I think it's very important to pay attention to detail, but it's also important to look at the big picture. And I think that one of the things we lack here in this region is the lack of strategic marketing. We do things a lot of the times ad hoc and disregard, the long-term goals and objectives. So it's important to look at that big tapestry and kind of understand how to create the roadmap instead of just, doing things day by day.
Hmm. And how do you use technology to do this? Do you use technology to maintain relationships with your ongoing companies, your
Well,
portfolio?
yes, definitely. As I mentioned, we use our communication platforms to amplify the messages of our portfolio companies. We use, big data and analytics as well to kind of measure how some are being reacted to, their traction on certain startups. So yeah.
I think that's a really interesting point, because you actually have a view of so many of the companies that you handle and the way that they are dealing with their clients, right? So, um, interesting point. I have one question for everybody, and this is more like going into 2022. Everybody's talking about. I think when you talk about retention, you have to talk about engagement, right? And what emerging technologies uh, are we using right now, and do you see becoming a bigger player in the next year or the next few years even? So even if they're nascent technologies, I want to know from all of you, what do you think is going to be the game changer in 2022 and beyond? Ibrahim, if we could start with you.
Sure. I think, again, I spoke a lot about machine learning, but it is the future. However, there is some blockers I see. For example, the last update of iOS 15, I think they've added a lot of restrictions when it comes to knowing the data of the customers, and I believe that they will have their own solutions because they are the only source in the market who has full access on the privacy data of the customers, and they can build on that their own machine learning to achieve company's objective. And of course, this will be for a big price. But in general, you need to build in your first party data to make sure that you have the maximum level of engagement based on the data that you have. Don't rely on others' data or second party data or third party data, because there will be always a lot of blockers similar to what Apple is doing today. We will see other big companies who can maybe do something similar. Google, for example, they have maybe more than 70 or 80% of the world data. If they decide to do something like that and you don't have your first party data, you will face a big issue in the future. So make sure to build your own systems to achieve your engagement objectives.
Do you see any challenges there in achieving that?
Yeah, the data for sure, and having your in-house tool. If you are using a third-party tool, it will be affected with the privacy issues that Apple is doing today, and maybe Google do in the future. So if you have your own solution, your own first-party data, you will be in a much better place.
That's good advice. Yes. Rania, can we have you come in?
Yes, sure. Actually, I agree totally with Ibrahim about what he said, and actually, I think the most important thing is, beside all the artificial intelligence solutions that we will have right now and we will have later on, is to design a customer journey. It's in perfect way. So the try and error bugs with all of these things, it will lead such supply chain in all the fields. The data needs to be available to provide real-time analytics and insights. So the good design of the customer journey, the end-to-end cycle, I think it will be more effective.
I think that's the dream for every marketer, right? The
Yes.
ideal customer journey. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sure.
Great. Alia, can we have you same question about where we're
Well,
going?
yeah, I totally agree with both my fellow panelists. I think they made very great points. I think also one thing that we'll be seeing more of is personalization. Um, Customers don't want to feel like they're talking to a company. They want to feel like they're talking to another human. And with the advent of, all the technology that we have in our lives, people kind of are saturated with technology. So they want to feel like there's another human on the other side. I read somewhere recently that now people want to become brands and brands want to become people. And I think that's very true. So I think that's a very important thing to keep on our minds as well.
I like it. I will write it down. I just have one more comment, by the way, Yani, for it's an advice for me and for everyone here. I think that we should make sure that we have a very simple experience for our customers, because this is what they expect and this is what will make the difference for all of them. There is a lot of competition. Companies who success in making the customer experience much simpler, I think they will be the winner for sure.
Right. So it's actually really interesting. I mean, you're using all of this technology, but you want it to seem more human. Processes are getting more and more complex, but we're trying to make customer experience simpler. So there are a lot of, I mean, it's a paradox. There are a lot of contradictions coming in. But really, it's about seeming effortless, right? For both, for the brand and for the consumer. So
Actually, yes, I want to add one thing based on
Absolutely.
Alia's also what she said. Mainly, most of the non-retention of customers back is the chatbots right now. If it's not going on with the nice design, well-designed customer journey, as we mentioned before. So yes, this is one of the most unretention customer is going.
Okay, so we have a little time. So I have one last question. Who do you think is doing it right? Okay, and I mean, you really can't see customer experience and retention as mutually exclusive things. It's always intermingled, and that's why you come away with a good feeling. Brands that you think are doing it right, or companies that you think we should all learn from. Alia, would you like some? Oh, are you thinking?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
I don't have anything on the top of my head right now. I'm sorry. But there are a lot of examples. I mean, you have the big brands like Apple, Nike. They're all doing amazing in marketing. But in the region, I haven't anything in my mind at the moment. No.
Sure, but I think now the competition is not regional anymore, right? It is global. So I mean, we can look at brands across. Ibrahim,
Yeah, I will say a brand name. I don't think it's right to say it, but I will say it because I think it's a very good example for everyone to learn from. I think in Nahdi, Nahdi, it's a big group of pharmacists in Saudi Arabia. They're doing great job when it comes to retention. The example that I mentioned earlier, it happened with me. I bought a milk for my kid, and they sent me a reminder to tell me that maybe you need to buy a new one now with just one click. So definitely, this type of personalization will increase your reorders rate big time.
I love it when that happens. I love it when you have personal anecdotes about experience with brands. It's really, it's the best thing to hear. Rania, can we have your answer?
Actually, it's about even we have very good brands here in Saudi Arabia right now, and it's local brands. Maybe most of the people doesn't know outside GCC wise, but really the personalization is going on in the Saudi market is very impressive and it's booming. So there is no special experience, but yes, we have a lot in the market.
That's true. It's a very exciting space to be in Saudi Arabia right now, the marketing scene.
Yes.
But definitely the competition is global. Thank you so much to my panelists. It was an absolute delight talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
all.
Thank you to our panelists and Yolande for this really nice session and really interesting questions. As always, we've learned something new, and I'm sure our attendees would like to connect with you all and learn more from you.